This is the kind of signal you do not ignore. Bitcoin is at a breaking point. This exact level decides whether we rally to new all-time highs or enter a full-blown bear market. In today's video, I'll be breaking down the critical range that Bitcoin is currently sitting in, the $90,000 level that could become extremely important in the short term, the bullish signal forming on the 8-hour time frame, and the trades I'm currently managing on Ethereum and Link. Now, most people watching these videos aren't subscribed, so if you want to stay ahead of the market and catch these setups before they happen, make sure you smash the subscribe button and join my free Telegram for all of our trade executions and setups. The link is in the description. Welcome to Bitcoin on Point. Let's dive into the content. Now, there is a few major macro developments happening around Bitcoin that we need to discuss before the charts. And firstly, reports are showing that a Trump insider has opened a massive $190 million long position on ETH and Bitcoin right ahead of Trump's announcement. Now, what actually makes this interesting is this is the same trader that reportedly made millions of dollars trading Trump-related events in the past. So when someone with this kind of track record suddenly goes all in again, this is where the markets actually start paying attention. But this isn't the only bullish signal. Billionaire investor Kevin O'Leary recently stated that if the crypto market structure bill passes, the Clarity Act, Bitcoin could surge above $200,000. This would be the institutional capital gateway that finally gains the regulatory clarity for that capital to flow into the market. Now, on top of that, Chinese EV company Jiuzhu just announced plans to purchase $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. So look, when we combine the larger inside positioning with potential regulatory clarity with the Clarity Act and billion-dollar corporate accumulation, it creates the environment where major expansion moves in Bitcoin can happen very quickly. So with the macro wrapped up, let's take all of that and throw it into the charts. And we're going to begin with looking at Bitcoin and its reveal on the 3-week time frame. Now, on this exact fractal, there is a very specific range that I would like to break down. Now, this range includes a major level of resistance and a major level of support for Bitcoin, and it's existed since sort of early 2021. Now, we're going to talk about this major level of support, and this is the inflection point where Bitcoin is sitting right now as we speak. So in the past, there have been two major occasions where Bitcoin has respected this trend line and then gone on to push new all-time highs. And the first instance was back in sort of June 2021, held support, broke out to a new all-time high. We then had another instance in July of 2024. This support line was retested once again, and then again Bitcoin pushed to a new all-time high. Now fast forward to 2026, we're back down at that same level of support. Now, does that guarantee that we're going to push to that all-time high? No, it doesn't. There is also an instance, if we look back at 2022, where Bitcoin in April lost this level of support and it exposed the remainder of the bear market. So this is why it's a major inflection point. There are two instances in the past that have defended the support in this range, and there's also an instance that has exposed a deeper downside. So it's so critical what Bitcoin does in the coming weeks to decide the trajectory for 2026. Defend it, the door's open for a new all-time high. Lose sort of 60 to 50K, we're opening the doors for deeper territory. It's that simple. We will monitor this as it breaks down over time. Now, let's take this into Bitcoin on the 3-day chart. And this is where I wanted to focus on that $90,000 level. We'll give a simple structure breakdown and explain why this major level of supply is a potential target in the short term. So, going back to December of 2025, Bitcoin was sort of forming this rising wedge structure or rising channel, however you want to look at it. And then it eventually broke down and lost that $90,000 level. Now, when we did lose it, it was such strong supply, that we didn't see any sort of relief. We just capitulated for at least a week or two. Now, since then, Bitcoin has marked this low on the early days of February, and you can see that it's forming this sort of tight range. It's really sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. We have a level of ascending support, and we also have a horizontal level of support at 67K, which is being respected now. Now, to actually witness a journey back up to this high supply zone, what we actually need to see is Bitcoin start to clear 72K. Now, we do have a fair value gap in that region, and over the last sort of week, Bitcoin has swept that liquidity. Now, it has retraced back down to the current support of 67K, and if it can respect that, this then opens the door for breaking the fair value gap and initially pushing up to that high supply at $90,000. Now, of course, if this is the scenario to unfold here, this would be representing a scenario or point of contact where Bitcoin actually respects this multi-year range of support, which could aid in new all-time highs. So it's critical that Bitcoin defends this low for one, holds the current support at 67K and this ascending support line if it's lost, and then actually gets the break to 90K. That would open the path for a new all-time high, potentially later in 2026. However, again, if this 60K low is lost that we have from early February, this is where things turn ugly. And of course, the doors then open for deeper waters going into later during the year. So again, it's a critical inflection point where we are, but the signs are there that Bitcoin is trying to build a base to look for that high supply push to $90,000. Now, let's take this into Bitcoin on the 8-hour, and this is where we're actually showing a bullish retest. And what I mean by that is that Bitcoin had a major level of descending resistance throughout February. Now, it did break this resistance on the 2nd of March, and since such, this is where we saw that explosive rally up to 74K. Albeit considered short-lived, Bitcoin is now retraced, back down for a retest on the prior resistance. So what we want to see is prior resistance now flipped into support to look for the continuation of this structure and resorting back up to that 74K level. So could this retest on the prior descending resistance be the signal for the next impulsive short-term break to the upside? Who knows? We're about to find out. But look, even if Bitcoin doesn't and it does start rolling over, we do have the weekly bullish order block to defend, which we've seen multiple times in the past be respected, which does sit down in that low 60K territory. So even if this retest isn't to mark the confirmation of pushing back up to higher targets, even if we roll over, there is still support waiting below on the lower time frames. So it's just a major inflection point. What Bitcoin does here over the next few weeks will guide the direction, guys. It will lead to either new all-time highs or open and expose another bear market. It's that simple. Now, with Bitcoin wrapped up, let's take this into our trading environment, and we're going to look at ETH on the 4-hour time frame. Now, I think it was on the 4th or 5th of March. I noted that ETH ran up to this 2.1K high. It swept the buy-side liquidity, and again, that was short-lived. Now, what we was waiting for our position was for this green sort of trend line play to come into fruition. And you can see that pretty much identically it's unfolded. We had a bullish order block and support block waiting below, and ETH is now retraced into that structure. So now we are positioned. And the most beautiful thing is we monitored this liquidity below. It did sweep into that, but it hasn't even gone near where our stop loss would have been. You know, we've now seen that bullish trajectory, and we're respecting the structure just like we kind of anticipated on the 4th and 5th of March. So now we're in position, and this is going brilliantly well. I think we've got 2% of risk deployed here on a 15x long. So best of luck, guys. Look, we're structured. We've come back to key support. We're respecting above our stop loss. Now we're waiting to ride this one out, and our TP does sit at 2.2K, which would be a sweep above the current buy-side liquidity and the local high. Fingers crossed on this one. Now, rolling over into Link. Now, what we had in the past for Link was this long, and we was looking for this long position. It got very, very close to actually hitting our TP after we actually secured our entry, but the market started to show weakness, and at this time, I think we had a short on ETH, which didn't make sense to actually be long on Link. You know, we need to have correlation here with our trades, and this is why what we actually decided to do was secure our profit and take an exit at, I think it was $9.20. If I actually go over to Profits Precision onto our dashboard, yeah, you can see that Link was our latest long, and we secured $210 profit on that. We actually got that exit, as I said, at $9.20. So it started to show the weakness. We took our position out, and therefore we've secured the profit. So ETH is currently inside the setup. We've got our entry and we're seeing a very positive sign from our expected order block and support block. Link didn't look too great, as we started to show weakness. So we secured the profit and took our exit. And if we roll this over into our dashboard where we monitor all of our trades and we're taking an account from $10,000 to $100,000, you'll see that Link's recent trade has sent our profit up to 1.3K. So now we've done 11 trades with a 63% win rate, and our average win is $227 over a $54 loss. So we're not doing too bad, it's safe to say, right, guys? And look, you can come in and join in all of the fun and keep up with all of our entries, stop losses, executions, and trade management by simply clicking the link in the description. It will take you straight to our Telegram for all of the information. Now, let's summarize the video. Bitcoin is respecting a major range that could, if holders support, aid in new all-time highs later in the year onwards. However, if it's lost, it opens the possibility for a deeper bear market retracement similar to 2022. The 3-day reflects that Bitcoin is trying to build this base, holding key levels of support, tapping recent fair value gaps, looking for the expansion up to that 90K supply for a critical retest. The 8-hour is showing us the bullish retest, the back down on prior descending resistance, looking for continuation. And then our ETH trade has now been executed, and Link, we secured the profits. Again, everything is available inside our free Telegram. The link is in the description. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next update.